Good morning, Vietnam. It is the calm before the storm. I'm Kevin Tompkins, of course, with Mr. Gary Haddow, with Britt, Flinn. We are going to be answering your start sick questions for week 6. And the fact that there is a football game currently going on gives me reason to play this video one more time.
You sound like you're from London.
London football, and we have to. Doing this morning.
I can't.
I love it.
None of us can't. I mean, we look at Laviska Shenault and he is the one person that just elicits we can't energy.
And you want to so bad, but you just can't.
And imagine drafting these running backs too, by the way, like Myles Gaskin, and look at Malcolm Brown getting in there 2 for 20. I mean, that's why you drafted him or didn't draft him. Right now, there's a football game in Miami, just despite the 1-4 and 0-5 teams that are playing. Miami and the Jaguars just went into halftime, 13-10. The Jaguars just scoring before the half. Mr. Marvin Jones with a touchdown reception. So 4 for 58 for Mr. Marvin Jones. Laviska Shenault with a couple drops, 7 targets though. Other than that, Matt Collins 4 for 61. Nobody has him. Mike Gesicki 5 for 58. So if you have Mike Gesicki, you'll love to see it. Well, at least for now. Tua doesn't look too bad in his return to the Miami Dolphins lineup. But let's talk about people that will be playing 2 hours from now. Of course, inactives will be out in about 40 minutes or so, actually about 30 minutes or so. So we will go over those, but let's go over the injuries that will make up the discussion for at least this first part of the calm before the storm. I'm doing a lot of talking because I just woke up about 15 minutes ago. Let's talk about some of the questionable players outside of the Miami and Jacksonville game because they are questionable for a different reason. Cincy running back Joe Mixon again with the ankle, still been limited. A full workload is planned, so we know that Joe Mixon did split with Samaje Perine against the Packers last week. A full workload is planned. Coach speak, take it however you want, but any reservations on putting Joe Mixon in, considering the fact that he pretty much had an even, actually really wasn't even split snap wise, but he played most of the rushing downs. He got 10 carries last week. So any reservations on starting Mixon this week?
I feel like he's going to get a full workload. It's going to be a pretty soft matchup, despite the Lions just being this weird, annoying team that somehow just like curtails fantasy points, even though they end up losing in horrible, heart-crushing fashion for Lions. I don't know. It's just a confusing situation, but I would fully put him in there. I think he's going to probably have one of his higher workloads of the year.
I mean, yeah, he has to. Like, Perine's on the COVID list, and then you've got Chris Evans. So, really, they don't have anyone else. If you have a better option, I would put them in ahead of Mixon, but, I mean, it's bye weeks, and as we're about to go through, there are a ton of injuries. # rip Nick Chubb.
Yeah, league winner Nick Chubb is on the shelf for today's game. Should give.
I hate you right now. I hate you. Don't rub salt in it, Kevin.
I've never drafted a good run, or I've never drafted a running back, so I'm fully out on that. But let's go right into that. Nick Chubb out, but Kareem Hunt is also questionable with a wrist and knee injury. So a lot of flashbacks to your burning $80 of fab on Dearness Johnson. A lot of PTSD going on this week with people adding him, also adding Demetric Felton. So, I mean, we'll see. Kareem Hunt should be in line for a pretty full workload there. Also, kind of the same thing as last week with Detroit's running backs in that Cincinnati-Detroit game with DeAndre Swift. Questionable with a groin. Jamal Williams also questionable, as well as TJ Hawkinson. Hawkinson and Williams at this point are expected to play. We have not heard anything about Swift, but he did, Swift should be able to go there. So let's talk about there's another injury there that's very interesting is Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Tyreek Hill with a quad injury. Didn't miss practice all, or he was limited on Friday. But there is one wide receiver injury that has me pretty concerned above all others, and it's Mike Williams, who's had a fantastic beginning of the season. Missed practice all week, but is expected to play. How are you guys working with this Mike Williams injury, knowing that he didn't practice all week, is expected to play? Do you expect anything full on a Mike Williams against the Baltimore Ravens, one of the higher over-under totals of the week?
Britt, you take this.
See, I'm traumatized by, I think it was last year when Keenan Allen had the back injury, and they're like, is he going to play? He's a game time decision. And then everyone was like, yeah, he's going to play. And he played one snap and then left. So like, yeah, he technically played, but he didn't do anything for fantasy. I'm just, I mean, I think you have to put him in if he does play, but maybe have a contingency plan just in case, because if he is, I mean, he did miss practice all week, and I don't know if he's going to get those targets and run the same percentage of routes that he normally does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is shaping up to be, if this is going to be a bit back and forth, if the whole, is Lamar really going to be passing as much as we saw on Monday Night Football? If that whole thing is going to be true, then this might be that Keenan Allen blow-up game I was talking about last Wednesday on Lightning Round, where I talked about him having, quote, Robert Woods syndrome, where he's kind of overshadowed by his his receiving mate there. Like, Woods was overshadowed by Kupp. Keenan Allen's been pretty much overshadowed by Mike Williams. So that could be a spot where he just can blow up. And then Eckler, this seems like an Eckler game where he has about 15 catches. They're going to need to be able to pass in this game. As far as other injuries, I'm still worried about Antonio Gibson and his hairline fracture there to the shin. He seems to be fine playing with it, but it still gives me a lot of pause. I don't know how he played with something like that. He's clearly a better man than I am, so who am I to question him? But Terry McLaurin also did not really practice this week, but is expected to play as well. So him and that hamstring, the hamstring monster is getting a lot of people so far this season. Sub out Sterling Shepard for Kadarius Toney with the pair of Giants wide receivers that are questionable. He has an ankle along with Darius Slayton's hamstring. Sterling Shepard is good to go and off the injury report. So any of these early injuries, also Allen Robinson with an ankle injury is also limited on practice on Friday, but should be able to play. Any of these other early injuries sticking out to you guys?
I think I'm a little hesitant on Gibson because that shin, it's a legit hairline fracture. And as a running back, you take so many hard hits. If you get hit in the wrong spot, it could really be a devastating injury. And the Kansas City Washington game both have the top two worst pass defenses. And so I think it's going to be, nobody's going to have time to run the ball in this game. They're going to be passing all over each other. So if they limit Gibson, which I think that they should, I mean, obviously it's week 6 and we've got buys and we have a ton of other injuries, but if you have a better option over Gibson, I think I would put them in over him.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard to move away from him. I mean, he's been banged up and he continues to at least get it. I mean, I think he's got a touchdown last couple of weeks. So his fantasy output has been there, but it's not been at all what we want it to be. And I don't know. I think about pivoting from him and then putting in J.D. McKissick, but like even last week, like J.D. McKissick did nothing. So I'm just kind of confused. This offense as a whole is very confusing. Like the one sure thing for me is Heineke, and outside of that, it just depends on what your available other options are. Like I feel like you have to start Terry, even though the concern of it being a hamstring sucks because he could tweak that at any point, especially going against this offense. Just against the Chiefs is going to be tough. So I think that you're starting them, but it's very Mike Williams-y. And all these guys, actually. Like, I feel the same thing about Kareem Hunt. Like, the fact that Chubb is out, but Kareem Hunt's been banged up. We have seen Hunt have duds when Chubb has been out. So I think there's a lot of expectation that he's going to be like a top 5 back this week. And I'm very hesitant. Like I do have him in some leagues and I'm like going to start him regardless. But there's just so much expectation that needs to be tempered for these guys, considering either they are banged up or what we've seen in the past when they've been banged up themselves.
Yeah, I actually picked up Felton in a couple of leagues that I had Chubb in, just because I don't think that Hunt's going to get the workload that everybody thinks.
No.
Yeah, puppies worry too. So I mean, dogs are always the first. Dogs are always the first to know. Hurricanes, White Walkers, running back injuries.
I feel like there's a sneaky play of Odell. I feel like everybody's forgetting about Odell, and in my beer league chat, a couple guys were talking about Odell. It makes sense to me. I mean, you have not a focal point of Chubb. You have a potentially banged up Hunt. Like the next most trusted option is Odell.
Yeah, I guess, but that's the thing is it's hard to be really hands on Odell when it just seems like, well, they're just like the Colts. That whole target distribution is just like the Colts, and that's without a target hog. Where it's really just flat across everybody. Like it could be another David Njoku game for all we know. Like we picked him up. We got him in our high stakes league. We just picked him up actually.
We did.
We did get him. Yeah. Sorry. The breaking news to Gary Haddow. Yeah.
Well, I want to say that Cleveland's pass attempts per game is like 29th in the league.
Yeah.
Like they don't pass. So it's really hard to invest in a receiver on an offense like that.
Yeah, they're right there with I would probably surmise to guess Chicago and New Orleans are at least down there too. So yeah, it's tough to expect anything. And Jarvis Landry is going to be coming. I believe he's designated to return. So they have 21 days, but they add someone. I would say Jarvis Landry would be the receiver to roster right now in Cleveland, just based on the fact that Beckham is not getting a lot. And it doesn't look great for him. He needs just a blow-up game to just get the haters off his back. And, me being one of those haters, I'll get off his back. Let's go into some of the afternoon injuries and then the out designations, and then we will get into some of your questions. Again, if you have questions for your start and sit lineups, please send them on over. We will answer them for you, as quick as we can here and in order. As far as the afternoon games, Chase Edmonds, same story as last week. Shoulder injury, limited all week, but should be able to play through that. We did talk about Kareem Hunt. Ezekiel Elliott hits the questionable tag with a rib injury. Britt's got to be loving that. Expected to play, but was limited on Friday. That could open the door for a little bit more work from Tony Pollard. They do have a big matchup in New England, so that could be pretty fun. I think that's going to be one of those sneaky offensive games. It has one of the it's a 51.5 over under. I think that game could go way over that.
That was really
and then
high.
It is really high, but
it's so strange to me. If Trayvon Diggs were out, I could see it, but if Trayvon Diggs is there, I don't know.
Yeah, it's really confusing me. And not just as a homer, but just looking at Dallas's defense and the improvement from last year, I don't get it, but we'll see.
Well, I will always side to Vegas because Vegas always seems to know everything way.
So smart.
They are. I mean, good Lord. Denver, Melvin Gordon with a hip injury, limited on Friday. Have not gotten word from him, but I would venture to guess that Javonte Williams should be in line for the 1A split. Is that a little too much to kind of project out of him this week?
I think it's spot on. I think this week it's switched. Melvin's normally the 1A in my opinion, and now it'll switch to him being the 1B. Like the best thing that could happen for everybody involved is that Melvin sits.
Besides Melvin Gordon, yeah, the best thing besides Melvin Gordon is Javonte.
Well, I mean, even if he sits, he could rest up. Next week he can come back and be strong, even though.
True, but all it takes is one game. All it takes is one game for Javonte Williams just ball out against a not good Raiders team. And Denver is at home too. So it's really shaping up to be this Javonte smash game.
Yeah.
And, Melvin might just not be able to do anything about it. That's the thing. And then, go on from there. And then also from New England side, Damian Harris with a rib injury, but Damian Harris really hasn't been that involved the last couple of weeks, seemingly in that Bill Belichick doghouse. They've just rotated through a bunch of backs between Brandon Bolden. Ramondre Stevenson has come out of the doghouse to get some carries. It's just the same New England backfield. How do you really kind of decode that one? I mean,
Brandon Bolden season.
It is the Earhart Perkins system, or as I call it, the Hufflepuff Gryffindor system, where pass catching backs are separate from the running down backs. So at least Brandon Bolden is a bit insulated.
And Dallas is pretty bad against pass catching running backs, and I feel like that's where Bolden gets most of his work, is in the pass game. So it could, yeah.
We love to see it.
You love to see it. I don't.
That's true. I do have Brandon Bolden on like a ton of teams. So some of the guys that are out today, Baltimore wide receiver Sammy Watkins with a thigh injury. Rashad Bateman is slated to play his first game of the season. Not expecting a lot as far as how many snaps he'll play, but he's going to get worked in. They've been playing a lot of Devin Duvernay on the outside, a lot of James Proche in the slot. I think one of those gets switched over to the slot. I think it's probably Duvernay because he could play in the slot too, and is a little bit and is a that kind of 5'11" slot guy. I think before we know it, in about a month, we'll be seeing Rashad Bateman play about 80 to 85% of the snaps outside and be just ingrained in that offense. Damien Williams with COVID is doubtful still, but likely not to play. That's opening the door for Khalil Herbert to get his first NFL start against the Green Bay Packers. If you have Khalil Herbert, I'd say he's probably a mid-range RB2. I'm not expecting a lot of touches out of him, probably maybe 13 to 14. I think he's going to still split a little bit, but Matt Nagy doesn't know how to run an offense or manage the players that he has in his offense. So we'll see how that goes. Other than that, Saquon Barkley with a knee, of course, out. Kenny Galladay with a hip. Imagine drafting Kenny Galladay. Washington wide receiver Curtis Samuel with a groin injury, re-aggravated that last week and is out again. And then we talked about Nick Chubb and then Chris Carson with that neck injury. So a lot of guys able to step up here. Of course, Alex Collins, Kareem Hunt gets a full workload. Also Devontae Booker for the Giants gets a full workload. Which of these running backs that are jumping in here, out of Herbert, out of Booker, out of Alex Collins, which one of these running backs do you like the most today?
It's Booker for me. Every time that Booker's shown up, even though I just clicked on a Herbert comment, but it's Booker for me. Like, he gets the bell cow workload. We've seen it before. We know that he's going to get that when he came in for the game. Came in after Barkley went down. He gets everything. The guy that I want to see just for the upside is Khalil Herbert. Like, I mean, anytime it's a rookie coming in, you just never know. Dude's pretty quick. And, last week was kind of weird because they gave him a lot of the churn the clock when the Bears were up against the Raiders. But, hey, trust is trust, and you're giving that ball to somebody to make sure that they don't cough it up or whatnot. So it'll be fun to see what happens there. My nervousness about Khalil Herbert is the Packers should stomp the Bears, right? And at what point is Khalil Herbert not that involved? Or we get to all of a sudden see his pass catching chops, which we did not get to see last week at all.
That's kind of where I'm leaning as Herbert, because I'm really worried about Booker against the Rams defensive line. I mean, they're just monsters. And the Giants have so many injuries just all over their team, but on their line especially. And I think if Chicago wants to pull that dink and dunk stuff that they normally do, like, it'll open up Herbert to kind of expose Green Bay's defensive line. And I'm really excited to see that.
Rams
I
are
saw your
susceptible
face.
against the run. Dude, James Robinson just had a sick run. He might have fumbled the ball, though, on the one.
That fumble, sir.
It's showing him with the touchdown.
Is it? Dude, watch the replay, dude. He just bounces off people. He's just so good. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I had him scouted at the in the FCS playoffs, so that's the only claim to think. Gary's laughing because that's the only thing. Every single time I hearken back to North Dakota State, Illinois State, where I was the first scout on James Robinson. So you're welcome, everybody. Other than that, the only weather concerns that we have is really just sustained winds, about 10 to 15 miles an hour in quite a few games, Kansas City and Washington, Rams and the Giants with sustained winds. The windiest game of the week is likely to be the Arizona Cardinals and Cleveland Browns, where we might see 20 to 30 mile an hour winds. So that could certainly affect the kicking game there. But my man Prater, I have no issues with him. He's played in Denver. If that dude can handle any kind of weather situation. Other than that, we really didn't talk. We didn't talk about that whole Kansas City backfield with Darrell Williams. How do we see that shaping out today with Darrell Williams, Jerick McKinnon? I'm hands off of Darrell Williams because I just think that split could kind of get gross, or the running game can get completely phased out from the passing game.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about when I talked about Gibson earlier. I think it's just going to be a pass show because both of their pass defenses are awful. And I don't think that either team is going to have a really consistent run game. So
I have no concerns about starting Darrell Williams. He's really good. I don't care what anybody says. He's good in the pass game. He's good at blocking. He's good at running. He's good in the red zone. I think that Darrell Williams is just going to be a solid play. He'll be a top. It'll be like a 12 to 16 back this week, right there in that range.
I need to upload the video from Dumb and Dumber where Jim Carrey has his fingers in his ears and he's going la 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 la. That's Gary's blind spot for Darrell Williams.
I love him. I drafted him in every single league. I just unfortunately don't roster him anymore.
Yeah, if you could roster one person, no matter who it is, apparently it's Darrell Williams across the board.
I just love D. Williams. It confuses people.
I did Damian Williams. I got the wrong one, I guess.
That's the D. Moore thing because David Moore originally signed with Carolina, and that was fun times. All right, so let's get into some questions here. So, no, Kevin Chubb, he will not be going. He will be going under 200 yards today.
Homer.
Oh, he's a Bears fan?
No, you are. I'm a Packers fan, so you're gonna say that. Yeah, he's gonna go under. I think it was a joke of a question. Kevin is trying to make me trade for Khalil Herbert and pump up his value in our keeper league.
That Kevin, I would never trade for.
Yeah, Chubb.
I'm just kidding. I would trade for
like the perfect guy.
He doesn't catch passes though. That's the thing. He's a two-down grinder.
Yeah.
We're gonna go full Derrick Henry with this one. He's never caught passes, but he's gonna be full on pass catching running back. Axel, of course. Omelet, pancakes, or biscuits and gravy for the breakfast one spot to help recover from the tequila shots from the wedding last night. Waffles, dude.
No, I think you're outvoted. Biscuits and gravy.
Yep, outvoted.
Belgian waffles is your 101.
See, we're in the South where biscuits and gravy are literal life. So,
well, when the South overtakes the North, which has never happened in the history of the United States, then
listen, the only thing that the South has is better over the North is food. I will fight you to that.
Well,
Southern food is life.
That's probably why I don't really care that much for college football. South has that against the North too.
That's true.
All right. Well, let's get into actual football questions maybe here. Need 3 from Daryl here. PPR, Lockett, Deontay Johnson, Claypool, or Pittman? I don't like that Seattle matchup against Pittsburgh, but I still think you have to play Lockett. Deontay Johnson is as close to set and forget. And you know what? I'm going to go with both Steelers. I'm going to go with that game stack with Lockett, Johnson, and Claypool. I think that passing game with Juju Smith-Schuster now out for the season condenses to those two. And then other than that, it's pretty flat outside of like Najee Harris getting his targets. Otherwise, you got James Washington, you got Freiermuth, Ebron, just these random other guys, that are Ray McLeod in the slot potentially, who I think could be a sneaky option if you really need a wide receiver. I think Ray McLeod could be. And Andrew Cooper, I'm giving full credit to this, by the way, if he does blow up. But yeah, I'm going to go Lockett, Deontay Johnson, Claypool.
I'm going to take Lockett out. I'm going to do the other three. I think that Pittman's been very consistent. And even with Hilton coming back, I think that we don't give the Texans offense enough credit for what Davis Mills is going to be able to do. And I believe that even prior to the Monday night game, that the Colts were like bottom 10 in yards allowed to wide receivers. And I think now they're, bottom 5.
Is there any?
They're going to be going back and forth. Sorry, that logic wasn't clear.
Oh, you're good.
I think I'm going to muddy things up because I want Lockett, Claypool, and Pittman. But
you're not going to start Deontay?
I mean,
Deontay is so good. Deontay set and forget it.
He is so good. He is. He is. But I don't know. Maybe it's a gut feeling. I don't know. Yeah, Deontay. Swap me back. Lockett.
Don't let me pressure you.
No, you're right. But
I trust Deontay over any of these wide receivers. That's just me, but I'm like he is the wide receiver equivalent of Darrell Williams for me.
My only concern in the second lowest over/under of the week with this game is that if there's a game, and that's certainly true what Gary said about Houston they are a professional football team, whether you want them to be or not, and can put up points on occasion. We saw it against New England, but
Chris Moore is so good.
Oh yeah, anytime you have Chris Moore, you got to put him in. Chris Conley too. No, but I think that this game sets up for Jonathan Taylor a lot, and I think if they have a week that's not a bye week where they can keep Carson Wentz kind of under wraps and let him kind of rest up a little bit, it's this game. But anything can happen. It's a home game for Indianapolis. They're favored by 10 points. I just don't see a world where, and we were talking about with the Browns passing game too. They're flat outside of Pittman. Pittman's been their alpha, but sometimes that alpha just means he gets 7 targets and then the rest get 4 or 3.
And Hilton's back this game.
Right.
He's a Texan slayer.
We don't know the target share that he's going to command out of the gate too. Totally. So that's something to factor in also. I just don't see, even with Geno Smith, even with the Pittsburgh Steelers, I don't see a world where you can sit Tyler Lockett or Deontay Johnson or Claypool.
Hold on.
It's so
Lockett
hard.
or
That
Claypool?
was hard.
This is a half-point PPR. This is a decision in the league I'm in with Chubb. Lockett or Claypool. And I'm already starting Deontay and Najee.
Then you have to go Lockett.
I think so, but
I think you go Lockett as well. Yeah,
with that,
you need to differentiate
over under.
Yeah. I just don't know if outside of just catches how they're going to all produce. But I think there's enough there where the bull case, and that game is just defenses don't show up. Geno Smith shows that he's as good as he was when he came in the middle of the Rams game. Let's get into more of these questions because they are starting to come in here. Axel Jansen, Robbie Anderson, T.Y. Hilton, or Rashad Bateman for wide receiver 4.
I think you've got to go Robbie. I mean, he hasn't really done that much this year, but you know that Minnesota is going to be pretty high powered, or at least you think so. And so Darnold's going to have to throw the ball. And I think that they're going to have DJ Moore a little bit covered up. So Anderson's the next logical target. And he just has more opportunities, in my opinion, than any of the other two.
Robbie Anderson has extreme variance as far as he's due. He is like the big regret. He is the Marquise Brown of last year, where we were just waiting for him to regress back to where he was getting all these air yards, where he was getting all these targets, but was not producing. That's Robbie Anderson this year, and he is that huge 8-out roll back to where he was with the 2019 Jets. So I think you still start Robbie for this week with those two options, Hilton and Bateman, but it's a bit dicey. Can't feel too great about it, but I'd still probably start Robbie. And then I get it.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. On the inactive front, Tyson Williams is another healthy scratch.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. So, I mean, you want to play all these?
It's fully Latavius now. Like, that's his backfield. I believe that they activated Jones again, Bell again, which I don't really understand.
Yeah,
what are they doing in that backfield?
It's just Latavius. Like,
they're playing the 2016's greatest hits, is what they're doing. Like, they put a couple quarters in the jukebox and want to play like CR or something. I mean, I don't know. I don't know music, so I'm just guessing that was popular in 2016.
CR?
No, that was actually popular in like 2006.
Okay, that's about the last time I paid attention to music.
You're a decade late.
Par for the course here. All right. I'm taking a look at some of the more inactives as they are coming in. No other. That was a big surprise to me that after Tyson Williams was active, it just seems like he's the most dynamic player in that backfield athletically. But apparently he, pass protection could have something to do with that as well. So it is what it is. But other than that, I'm taking a look, and let's take a look at some of these other inactives. No surprises here from what I have seen. Of course, Saquon Barkley and Kenny Galladay. Darius Slayton also inactive. So Kadarius Toney is active. Fire him up. Let's see. Other than that, Rob Gronkowski, no surprise there. And
also played on Thursday.
That's true. Sorry. Curtis Samuel inactive. Thank you, Gary. You're a mensch. I don't care what Britt says about you. And Curtis Samuel
needs some coffee.
He's the most mensch reference we've had on one of our podcasts. I love it.
Yeah. Well, hi him. All right. James Conner or Darrell Williams for running back 3 in standard. In standard, I'd still probably go with Darrell Williams.
Yeah, because Conner. Yeah, Williams has a better matchup, and you know how I love my James Conner. He's the hill I'm going to die on this year, and the past couple weeks he's finally, hit the end zone and done what I thought he was going to do. But up against that Cleveland defensive line, I mean, they're mean. They're mean.
They're not very nice.
I'm sure Myles Garrett's very nice in person, but.
I mean, don't ask Mason Rudolph, but yeah. Other than that, yes, a couple more. I think all the inactives are out. Chiefs just came in. Nothing.
Hill's active. That's the main thing.
Yeah, Hill's active. Yeah. So, other than that, yeah, the one I was worried about was Kadarius Toney. I felt like that was a spot where they could probably leave him out, but I think with Shepard and Galladay and Slayton. You got to fire him up. I think this is going to be a spot. You can't take him off the field. And I think this week, even when there's guys coming back like a Slayton or Galladay, I don't think you can take Toney off the field.
Well, and they've schemed up plays just for him. I mean, this offense really seems to love him. And I mean, he's shown, what was it last week? His yak was just insane.
Yeah. And then he punched a dude with a helmet on.
That's Florida. That's Florida for you, though. But I mean, he smoked Diggs on a route running. And I wasn't really high on Tony's route running coming in from college, but he's really developed and looks really good in the pros.
I'm not going to ask you to explain that one. By the way.
What?
Smoke dicks?
Diggs.
I thought she said that too.
Diggs.
I did too. Yeah. Wow. We're getting canceled, Gary. We had a good
All
one.
right. Let's go to some more questions.
God.
Well, we had a good run. Thank you to all our producers and staff. Roll the beeline.
My children.
Let's make sure we get through these.
Yeah. Randy Bullock, Michael Badgley, not Marvin. I don't know who Marvin is. Or Cairo Santos for kicker 2.
Fat Randy.
We're finding all the ways to get canceled here, but I started that one.
I saw him in the game, and I was like, yeah, it's Fat Randy. That looks right.
He's just a big dude. Like that dude probably ate a lot of biscuits and gravy, like every day, every hour.
Love biscuits and gravy.
Yeah, give me Bullock.
Yeah, I think so too.
Here we go.
Although after last week, who knows? The kicker situation is just up in the air. So
I just ask Linda. That's all I do. That's all you can do. Yeah. Mike Williams or Marquise Brown in standard. If the fact that you have to make a decision, which is fair, you can have this decision considering both were drafted about the same spot in like the 7th round or so, but give me Marquise Brown. Just ride the wave, ride the heater.
I'm gonna go with Marquise Brown just because of the injury.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, dude's been awesome, and if these Lamar Jackson Ravens, if they're going to be passing more than they have in years past, the fact that Lamar just absolutely balled out, you just ride the wave. That's all you can do. Lions, Texans, or Raiders for defense number 2. I will say here, Lions. God, I don't know. It's tough. If I have to decide between these 3, God, probably the Raiders.
That's who I think too. Max Crosby has come on.
The team.
I think
he is the team.
Yeah, basically. And basically. And he's the dog's whining again. Sorry. I think he'll be able to get a sack or 2 today. And when you're starting a defense too, that's all you can hope for is like sacks and turnovers. So I think Vegas has the best chance out of those 3 for a turnover.
I'm going to go with the Lions for a reason that I didn't even realize till I was setting DFS lineups and couldn't understand why Joe Burrow's fantasy numbers are so much lower than they should be. The dude throws a ton of picks. Like I think he already has 6 or 8 on the season.
Well, we'll keep in mind too. He threw 3 and like 3 passes too, so
that could skew 1, then 3, and then 0, then 2. I only know those 4 games. There's a 5th game, and I don't know if he threw a pick or not. But that's 1 and 2 is. I'm just like, I'm gonna go with the Lions just to see, that they can get some sacks just because of that offensive line. I'm looking at bargain basement DFS plays, so I've been looking at the Texans and the Lions. I think the Texans are the scariest one because I don't know what they can do besides a couple sacks.
Right. Burrow threw 2 picks against Green Bay. I mean, he hasn't finished any higher than QB 11 this season. You got to figure better days are coming for Burrow as he is, he's how many months out? He's almost a full, 11 months off of his ACL tear too. So, you can't really make a lot of excuses for him, but I guess I am.
Let me rephrase it this way. So far, the Lions have it was 41-33 against the Niners, which is a weird game. 35-17 against the Packers, which is understandable because it's division, it's Rodgers. But then it's been 19-17, 24-14, 19-17. Like they find a way to keep games somewhat closer than you'd expect. That's where I'm going with that. But the Raiders are also solid. Like I don't want to come away saying they're not. I don't know. To me, it's a coin flip between the Lions and the Raiders.
Well, Yeah, and the Bengals just their pass rate over expectation is like, they're bottom of the league right now.
Yeah.
So they just do, even in positive game scripts or negative game scripts, they run like, I think they're like top 5 in run percentage in negative game scripts, which is bad. And it's a complete opposite of last season where they were 4% over expectation when Burrow was there in the first 10 weeks. So, I mean, they were averaging 46 pass attempts a game. And he hasn't even gotten anything over 38, which was last week against Green Bay, and needed overtime for that.
Yeah.
So it's really just a matter of they're not passing, and even when they're faced with passing situations, they are still not really passing. And you have to have efficiency for those guys. And right now, the efficiency is Jamar Chase.
And it's kind of crazy because they didn't do anything to improve their offensive line. So it's really weird that they're running more than they're passing. It's just, it doesn't make any sense, really.
I mean, they made some improve. I mean, their line is actually a lot better than last year's. I mean, they brought in Riley Reif, who's been really good on the offensive line too. They brought in a couple rookies, Jackson Carman in the second round, and another 5th round guy. They got rid of their starting guard. They cut him, but they've actually been a lot better. And that's the thing. They've been a lot better on both lines, which is just, that's going to help your team out in the long run. As soon as those guys gel, if they can get another piece in there, they'll be fine. But they've actually been pretty good on the lines. I have a couple. Oh, here we go. Not Britt Flinn. I'm just going to say not Britt Flynn forever. Pick 3, Herbert, Javonte. I would assume Darrell Williams, McKissick, Booker, Hunt, Pollard. That's a lot of running backs.
Jesus.
Have some running backs, y'all.
So I think we're all going to say Hunt.
We're all going to say Javonte too, right?
Yep. And then I'll go
Booker
over Williams.
Workload.
Yeah, for me, it's Hunt, Booker, and Darrell for me.
I don't even know what league this is in, so I'm a little scared to answer this, but I kind of went Herbert, Javonte, and Hunt.
So 3 different answers. Good luck, Chris.
Hunt, Javonte, and Booker for me. Yeah, I just think that, I mean, we saw when he went in the game, when Devontae Booker went in the game, he played 88% of the snaps. I just don't think there's anybody else behind him to matter for the Giants. So I at least like him. Granted, it is against the Rams, but I still think that offense can still move the ball a little bit. And I think Booker can, at the very least, fall in the end zone for a touchdown. I think there's a total chance for like a 14 for 45 or 50-yard game with a touchdown, and then adding a few catches from Daniel Jones. It's going to really round out his day. I'm just still worried about that workload in Kansas City, but I mean, clearly it's a concern Gary doesn't have. That's all I got.
I don't really care about Jet McKinnon anymore.
Yeah, but does Andy Reid? That's the question. Me and Gary are clicking the same. We just keep clicking away here. Pick 2, Hardman, Sun God, Patrick, or Higgins, or Myers. Pick 2.
Sun God, for sure. I'm going to go
For
ARSB.
sure?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who else are they throwing to? Everyone else is banged up. 8 targets past 2 games. Let's do it. So
yeah, so did Khalif Raymond.
We're going to go. That's T. Higgins, right?
I
would assume.
Is that Chris? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with T. Higgins also.
I know that it's T. Higgins because last night when I got home from that hellacious weekend,
DFS plays.
He was looking on the optimizer, and it had T. Higgins. And I actually had T. Higgins in one of my DFS value plays for this week, I'm pretty sure. And I was like, nope, burn it all. If the optimizer likes it, get rid of it. But
yeah, T. Higgins will be like not owned at all.
Yeah. So I'm Sun God and T. Higgins for sure.
Yeah, that's about where I'm at too, because Myers is going to probably see a healthy dose of Diggs. Patrick, that That's not too bad either, but I think they're going to be running more. And Hardman. Apparently, McCole Hardman needs Patrick Mahomes to drop back 60 times for him to be relevant, as we saw last week. So, is that going to happen? I mean, that could
Today
happen.
it might. Today it
Yes,
might.
I was going to say. I don't know if it's 60. 60 is tough. We're talking about you just need to pass. I mean, they had to pass. I think it's going to be a lot. I mean, clearly Washington is not the Buffalo Bills, but it's in the range of outcomes, certainly, for them to pass 60 times. But no. St. Brown and Higgins. All right, let's go over to our Nick Westbrook, Keeney, Ray McLeod, or the chef, Gunnar Olszewski for wide receiver 5. I think the choice is clear. If you're looking for a speculative play, I talked about it a little while ago, Ray McLeod, who I think is first in line to get slot work for Pittsburgh. At the very least, he's probably going to outsnap the two, probably combined. So give me McLeod.
Yep. Agreed.
And then our running back, Jeremy McNichols, Dearness Johnson, or Ryan Nall for RB3 and PPR. Surprised he didn't want to play Kyle Juszczyk on his bye week, considering he still might outscore these 3 running backs.
Yeah.
So I thought about this for a while as to who I wanted to roster at the bottom of my bench, if it was going to be McNichols or Dearness, and I'm still going to go with McNichols. I think that God damn it, Kevin. Not you, Chubb.
Pick 7.
Yeah, we'll get into that one. We'll ridicule him.
McNichols.
Yeah, McNichols does have that, the target upside. He doesn't see a ton of snaps, but when he does, he's been pretty efficient. So I'm not sure, though, that he's going to get as much work against Buffalo.
Yeah, McNichols has that one target upside today, so I don't know. I can just hear Steve Levy shout, yelling his name randomly on Monday Night Football. So I'd probably go with McNichols. If you spent any fab on Dearness Johnson, then Godspeed, because he's probably not getting a carry today, I would guess.
At least I picked him up for free.
That's true. So actually, I did too. So I can't even say anything. I got it for free. I didn't spend any money on him. Never mind. I'm not going to go into my Dearness Johnson take. Pick 7. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate this. Justin Herbert. Oh, okay. There's your
Pointless reading this. He that's his starting lineup, and then the other 3 are his bench guys. Question is, are you going to put Ruggs in over anybody? No.
I'll put Ruggs in over Ingram. I'll put Ruggs in over David Johnson.
David, Ruggs, and Ingram aren't in because the top 7 is his QBs, 2 running backs, his 3 wide receivers, and 2 wide receivers, his flex. And
you phrase that weird then. No. There's
the
no
bottom 3. It's like his starting 7, and then there's a 3. So are you going to put Ruggs in over anybody? No.
That's big fat no.
Yeah. Kevin, you have
yeah. Here we go. Let's see here. Standard League, Allen Robinson or Cortland Sutton? Sutton
for sure. We just can't trust A-Rob or the play calling on that offense right now in Chicago.
Ooh, here we go. McCole Hardman or Darnell Mooney?
It's Mooney for me. I want guaranteed targets. I don't want Hardman does.
There's nothing guaranteed about the Chicago Bears, dude.
He is the number 2 option or number 1.
I would rather start Gabriel Davis over like any Chicago Bear. Like I would rather start like the number 4 option on a good offense versus like any Bear right now.
But what?
Like it is literally going to take a coaching change for this offense to like get any kind of consistency.
But
yeah, I have to go Hardman too, just because of their poor pass defenses. I've
I
said
gotta
it
go Hardman
damn
too.
near ad nauseum, but they're going to throw the ball a lot in this game today.
Trust me, I am pro Mooney as like the dude I think is the next Tyler Lockett in the NFL, but not in this economy.
I am very strongly Mooney.
Okay.
I think it's crazy to start Hardman, and I'm happy to be wrong. But
trust me, it's crazy to start any. It's crazy to start Hartman. It's crazy to start any Chicago Bear. A lot of things are crazy. Yeah, we're starting Khalil Herbert. Like it's well, that's the one thing they do is they will run the ball. They will. Ben Gretsch was talking about this on Chip Chasing on Wednesday about the Chicago Bears offense and how Matt Nagy, the stark difference between how the 49ers are utilizing Trey Lance when on design runs versus Justin Fields, which is basically his running plays are taken straight out of Tecmo Super Bowl in 1991, which is a QB draw or a QB sweep. And that's it. That's all they've done as far as design runs for Justin Fields. And it's literally going to take a coaching change, something massive to be able to get this right. So for the time being, I'm pretty much hands off of all Chicago Bears in the passing game.
Yep.
Gary is about to fall asleep.
I'm not gonna fall. Sorry, somebody's trying to do a trade with me for Antonio Gibson.
What's the trade?
It's a dynasty league. It's 10 teams. Javonte and James Conner for Gibson. And he was trying to throw in Heineke, and I was like, I don't need Heineke. I already have Stafford, and it's one QB, and I already have Stafford and Tannehill. And so I was like trying to get picks involved, and he was like, well, I'm not going to do picks. And I was like, you just admitted with your offer that Javonte and Conner is not worth Gibson. Therefore, let's just find that extra little thing to make it equal because I don't want your quarterback. That being said, if for some reason it doesn't budge, I would totally do Javonte and Conner for Gibson. I'm just
I would too. So. Dawson Knox or TJ Hawkinson?
Got to go Knox, I think. I mean, Hawkinson just hasn't really he hasn't produced at the level in the past few weeks that we thought that he was going to, whereas Knox is legitimately getting all of these red zone targets, and they're playing against Tennessee's defense.
Yeah, Knox has been pretty much the 1-for-1 replacement for like Beasley and Gabriel Davis. Like it is the passing game has been literally not as much. Diggs is due as well for a blow up. But Emmanuel Sanders has been catching a lot of touchdowns and a lot of like high leverage spots, third downs and stuff like that. Like he has been there and he has been as dependable as any wide receiver. That's why I'm starting him in a lot of leagues over a lot of, established guys. I would rather have him right now on this offense. And then Dawson Knox has been pretty much the third wide receiver, like third pass catcher in this offense. That's basically what he's been right now. Cole Beasley, I wouldn't say he's on the milk carton, but Gabriel Davis pretty much is.
Yeah.
And I would still start him over Allen Robinson. Let's see. What's that? I'm sorry.
I just said facts.
It do be like that. Kadarius Toney or Tyler Boyd?
Tony.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Tyler Boyd's kind of been relegated to, non-existence.
It's that thing we're talking about where, it relies on efficiency in that Bengals offense. And if Jamar Chase is the one eating, it's almost like you have to pick and choose between Higgins and Boyd. And we know Higgins has a propensity to blow up even more than Boyd does. The Boyd does get by on volume, but if there's no volume to be had in the Bengals offense, then good luck with your 5 for 40 games, I guess. And I have one more question here because he is active. Chuba Hubbard or Khalil Herbert?
You got to go Chuba, I think.
Mr. Gary.
I think you have to go Chuba. just because he's shown what he can do, even against the Eagles. He was like the bright spot on that offense, got over 100 yards. I mean, the dude's he's good. He's fast. And I think he should have a good chance this week. I'd be more nervous about Herbert than I would be about Chuba because we've seen it from Chuba.
Imagine not drafting Chuba Hubbard in like the 14th round, by the way.
Imagine being annoyed when you did.
Imagine somebody in your home league dropping him.
That's
and then
up.
Picking him up.
Imagine all the people.
You were mad when we took Chuba Hubbard?
I wasn't mad. It was just like, I was like, whatever. It was then later when we were doing ad drops, I was like, just drop Chuba. Like, he's not going to start. I remember having that conversation when we were talking about waivers.
I do
also,
too.
A side note, is somebody on that Carolina medical team or coaching staff or whatever going to get fired? Because how did you let McCaffrey practice this week and then end up putting him on IR in the same week?
Sounds like the whole Joe Mixon thing from last year, honestly.
Yeah, it's awful. Like, you rushed him back.
Why didn't you just put him on IR
to begin
3
with.
weeks ago?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's dumb. Somebody's going to get a stern talking to.
It's all right. There's about 1,000, medical staffs that you can go out and hire. So these guys aren't worried. But yeah, that's just piss poor management of the best player in the league. I mean,
yep.
You have to just take care of these guys and just say, all right, we're out 3 weeks, instead of playing the will he won't he game and McCaffrey coming out and saying, oh, I feel great, and then still being doubtful.
And that's another thing too. You've got to manage the egos, not egos necessarily, but so many of these players just want to play, even though
you have
they're
to
not
protect
100%.
them from themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And so many of these coaching staffs don't do that at all.
They do not. It's tough. Yeah. So we're back to pretty much the same stuff as last year with McCaffrey. So I can't wait to get him in the second round next year.
Never happened.
He'll never go in the second round. He'll still always be a first rounder. That's the thing. Even with like almost a year and a half of not playing a game. Like, we played 4 games in the last year and a half. So tough scene out there in Carolina. All right, it's 11:05. We're gonna get out of here. But if you have questions, send them on over to us at KTompkinsII, at Haddow27, at Britt_Flinn. I almost flubbed that, but I did not because I'm kind of awake right now. So send them on over to us. We will answer them before the noon kickoff, or 1 o'clock, or 11 or 10, wherever you are on this great planet here with United States time zones. Shut up, Kevin. All right, I'm going to get out of here. We're going to get out of here. Anything else before we hit the bricks? Gary cannot be bothered. Gary
I'm here, right? Man. I'm just trying to get
He's got so many things. So many things happening. No, I'm just ready. This week is a week that there's some differentiation in your fantasy leagues with the buys, with the injuries, with things like that. So even if you're, not where you want to be exactly, the buys are going to kick in, and just keep looking up. And this week's going to be great.
Look at that! Look at that optimism. That's what we need.
Maybe I'm just giving myself a pep talk in a couple leagues, but
Well, if you want optimism, you should have picked up Kadarius Toney. Should have picked up Chuba Hubbard. All right, we are out of here. We will see you next week with bye week hell. By the way, with week 7. So send those questions on over to us. We will answer them. Good luck in your week 6. Take care, everybody.